Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. 2025 Lausanne Diamond League. Oblique Seville wins men's 100 meter over Noah Lyles. The 2025 Lausanne Diamond League saw Jamaica's Oblique Seville win the men's 100 meter dash with an impressive time. On Wednesday, despite the challenging weather conditions, Seville managed to clock a time of 9.87 into a minus 0.3 m divided by S headwind. The 24-year-old with a strong start maintained a lead throughout on the wet tracks and managed to surpass Olympic champion Noah Lyles in the process. Running 9.87 in those conditions shows I can go much faster anywhere in the world. That's a good time, said Seville in the post-race interview. Notably, Lyles, who claimed to have had a really bad reaction to the gun, posted a time of 10.02 to settle for the second position. After a slow start, Lyles managed to move past the field and crossed the line with Jamaica's Akeem Blake in a photo finish. This was the second time Lyles, who has yet to win any 100-meter races at the Diamond League this season, was edged out by Seville in this category. Last month, at the London Diamond League, Seville posted a time of 9.86 seconds, while the world champion was forced to claim the second position in 10.00 seconds. After defeating Lyles twice this season, now Seville hopes to bring back Jamaica's dominance in the sprinting category, feeling a lot of confidence heading into the championships. On the other hand, Lyles' 2025 season has been entirely different from what he had expected it to be. After making a comeback in July following an inflamed tendon injury, the sprinter has competed in fewer races than he'd like, including only 4 100-meter races this season. I really wanted to get back on the scene, and then having to take a slower approach to get back, into finally starting in July. It's been rushed, to say the least, Lyles stated in a press conference before the Lausanne meet. The 28-year-old is now looking for redemption on the tracks of Zurich at the Diamond League final before defending his titles at the World Championships in Tokyo. Nonetheless, Noah Lyles, who has been focusing more on the 100-meter event this season, will face tough competition from both Kishane Thompson and Seville in the category. Furthermore, the growing rivalry with teammate Kenny Bednarik and Olympic champion Letzel Tebogo will pose a major threat to his 200-meter title as well. On a crisp August night in Lausanne, where the Alps loomed like ancient sentinels and Lake Geneva shimmered under the stadium lights, a young man from Jamaica etched his name into the golden pages of sprinting history. The 2025 Lausanne Diamond League had promised fireworks, but no one expected a storm quite like Oblique Seville. The Stade de la Pontaise was alive, a sold-out crowd of 12,000 humming with anticipation, their cheers rising and falling like ocean waves. Flags from every continent flapped in the cool breeze, yet the spotlight had narrowed onto two names: Noah Lyles, the American phenom, showman, and reigning world champion, and Oblique Seville, the quiet Jamaican with eyes like steel and feet like fire. Few outside sprinting's inner sanctum believed Seville had it in him. The pundits leaned heavily into Lyles, charismatic, battle-tested, a man who had conquered the 100m and 200m at the 2023 and 2024 World Championships, along with Olympic gold. Lyles didn't just race, he performed. He grinned at the camera, flexed like a Marvel hero, and promised a sub 9.70 before the year was out. But Oblique, he said nothing. He trained. He waited. And in Lausanne, he answered. Act 1, The Quiet Storm. Oblique Seville had been building toward this night for years, in the shadows, often overlooked in the glittering lineage of Jamaican sprinting royalty. Usain Bolt, Johan Blake, Asafa Powell, their names echoed in every race he ran. But for Seville, this wasn't about legacy. It was about identity. I don't need to fill anyone's shoes, he once told a reporter. I run in mine. His 2025 season had been consistently strong, marked by steady improvements and near-flawless technique. In June, he clocked a personal best of 9.83 in Kingston, hinting at something stirring beneath the surface. Coaches whispered. Analysts started digging into his form, his biomechanics, his starts. Still, Lyles had the narrative, the medals, the fans, the marketing machine. In the pre-race interviews, Lyles stood tall in purple spikes, grinning like a man who knew the script by heart. "It's about putting on a show," he said. "When I'm on the track, it's showtime. The fans don't want silence. They want fireworks." Seville. He merely nodded, headphones on, eyes down, as if already racing in his mind. Act 2, the race. At 8:37 p.m. local time, the men's 100-meter finalists walked out under the floodlights. Each name was announced with a flourish, and the crowd responded like it was a rock concert. Lane 4, Noah Lyles. Lane 5, Oblique Seville. A deep tension rippled through the stadium. It was the kind of silence that falls just before thunder. On your marks. The athletes crouched, hands trembling on the starting blocks. Time dilated. A single breath stretched into eternity. Set. Oblique leaned forward, shoulders taut, his heart sinking with the moment. Bang. Seville's reaction time was blistering. 0.121 seconds. He exploded from the blocks like a shot of lightning. His drive phase was poetry in motion, every step eating meters like a lion devouring ground. Lyles, smooth and powerful, was close, but something was off. His usual mid-race surge didn't land the same way. The gap didn't close. In fact, it grew. The finish line approached like destiny. 9.79 seconds. A lifetime in less than 10. The clock flashed. The stadium roared. Oblique Seville had done it. Act 3, Aftershock. Lyles bent over, hands on knees, clocking in at 9.85. A respectable time by any measure. But in sprinting, respect means little. Seconds are kingdoms. Hundredths are wars. Seville stood tall, arms raised, not screaming, not pounding his chest. Just breathing. Deeply. Fully. As if, at last, the air around him acknowledged his presence. Trackside reporters rushed in, microphones like spears. But Oblique spoke with the same calm that had carried him down the track. "I always believed in this moment," he said. "Didn't need to shout about it." Lyles, ever gracious, smiled as he approached Seville. "You got me tonight, man," he said, dapping him up. "But we're not done." "No," Seville agreed. "We're just getting started." Act 4, Reverberations. The world took notice. Social media erupted. #Seville Storm trended globally within the hour. Jamaican fans poured into Kingston's halfway tree square, waving flags, singing, chanting his name. Memes flew, headlines blazed, and suddenly, a man once in the shadows stood in the brightest spotlight the sport could offer. Commentators called it a changing of the guard. Analysts dissected the biomechanics of Seville's stride. Even Usain Bolt chimed in on Instagram. Big up Seville. The fire's still burning Jamaica fire. But for Seville, the Lausanne victory wasn't a coronation. It was confirmation, a reminder that patience, discipline, and quiet belief can sometimes roar louder than hype. Act V, the wind listened. That night, as the stadium emptied and the echoes of applause faded, Seville sat alone in the warm-down area, taping his ankles in silence. A coach approached and handed him his warm-up jacket. "You finally did it," the coach said. Seville looked up, eyes thoughtful. "No," he replied. "I finally showed them I could." Then he stood, the jacket slung over one shoulder, and walked into the Swiss night, a champion not just by time, but by character. Epilogue, the road ahead. The 2025 season was far from over. Brussels, Zurich, Eugene, the Diamond League finale awaited. And in those cities, Lyles would look to rebound. The rivalry was far from settled. But one thing had changed. Oblique Seville was no longer the quiet contender. He was the man to beat.